Welcome back, everybody, to the Closing Authority podcast. My name's Kennedy. I'll be hanging out with you hosting today, and we're doing something a little bit different this time. So we're going back to the origin story of Liam, the OG of the Closing Authority. And so we are going to take a look at his story today, and we're going to take a look at what it was really like for him, even before he was Liam from Closing Authority, before when he was just regular old Liam who's running his daily life and just kind of doing the daily grind and trying to break free from it, so we can hopefully be some encouragement to you guys today, to everybody listening who is thinking like, what does it really take to actually do this for real, where I get out of where I'm at and start to get the level of freedom and in that entrepreneurship online actually truly can offer, and like how to do it for real and not just like listen to people puff their own sales about it. So we're gonna dive into the good stuff here. Liam, thanks for joining.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into it. So tell me, just for those of you listening, for people who didn't know you before Closing Authority and like before you got into the remote closing space, just paint the picture for us about kind of where life was at before kind of all the evolution began. Like what was daily life like for Liam at that point?
Yeah. So what I'll probably start with is, so when I was 19, I was waiting for my military papers, right? I was waiting to go join the military full time. I thought this is like the path I want to do. I had done heaps of cadets growing up, like 7 years of it. And I was like, I'm just going to go be a lifer in the Army. That sounds fun. And when I put my papers down, they're like, hey, you should go and travel for the next 6 months until you get accepted in, because it's a great time to go travel. You have nothing else to do. Just go travel and we'll call you when we're ready. And I was like, okay. So I randomly picked New Zealand, came over. I literally booked 2 nights accommodation and jumped across the world with nothing else besides a bit of a plan. I say that because I try to live life in the sense of make the moves before you feel ready. I wasn't really feeling like, oh, I'm 100% ready to go travel. I barely knew what New Zealand. I knew Lord of the Rings was filmed here. That's about it. Right?
That's a great thing to know, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, most important thing for sure. And I got to New Zealand and I was traveling around. I traveled around for a bit and I landed in a place called Christchurch. Now Christchurch is an important place because that's where I started my sales journey. Okay. Now, the way I got into sales was very interesting. See, I was a personal trainer. I thought I wanted to coach people in fitness. I thought this is going to be the path I want to take. I was young, into the gym. I was like, I got this. This is my thing.
Yeah, typical gym bro.
Yeah, 100%. I got my qualification. I was like, all right, I'm ready. And then I had planned this trip for me and my dad to go to Bali. Okay. And I wanted to take my dad to Bali and pay for a trip to give back, because he had always paid for us to go traveling when we were younger. He always helped look after us when we were in tight spots, and I wanted to pay it back to him, right? So I had put the entire trip on my credit card. I maxed out my credit card. I had like maybe $1,000 to my name. Well, actually negative 5,000 because it was $6,000 trip. And I was like, okay, I now need to make money. Like, I leave for my trip in 8 weeks and I have zero money. If I don't make, and I had booked his round trip, I had paid for accommodation, but I only booked a one-way ticket to Bali. And I was like, I need to make money. Otherwise, I can't live life. So I was like, fine. In the mindset I had then, I didn't really understand not working for an hourly wage. I was still stuck in that like grind of like, cool, I have to work hours to get paid a certain amount of money. And I was like, fine, I'll work 100 hours a week. I don't mind working hard. I will get 3 jobs and I will just gun it. Right. And I was doing a bunch of interviews, and one of the interviews ended up being for this door-to-door company. And I was like, huh, this is kind of interesting. I went out with them on what we call an observation day. So I went and saw what it was about. And the guy, we were out there for like 2 hours, and he showed me like 3 sales. And I got picked up. The manager came and picked me up and was like, you seen enough? I was like, yeah, I guess so. I just saw this guy made like $200 in the span of like an hour or so. I was like, that's pretty cool. I could do that. And then he brings me over to he picks me up and we go and have a beer. And I'm like, wait, what? We get to have beers at work? Like, bro, this is crazy. This is my kind of spot. Where I was at, young guy, and eventually I was like, cool. So like, how does this work? Like, how do I actually make money? And this was my first introduction to commission. This was my first introduction to taking my income into my own hands. And he said, well, you get paid off of everything that you produce. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you make like $1,000 worth of sales in a week, I'll pay you $1,000. If you make 2,000, I'll pay you 2,000 and 3,000 and so on. I was like, really? I was like, but like, how many hours do I have to work? He's like, no. It doesn't matter the hours you work. It all matters about what you produce. I just thought that was like a light bulb moment went off. I was like, wait, I don't have to work harder. I can actually work smarter and make more money.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. So I buckled down. At this point, I had 7 weeks left to save before I left for my trip, and I needed to save that $6,000, right? And I just went into it, man, and 7 weeks later, I ended up having $6,500 saved. And that was kind of gave me the bug into sales. That started the bit of the journey. And that was selling, that was fundraising for non-for-profits at the time. So helping all the different charities that everyone's heard of and making good money on the back end of it.
Yeah, it's cool because like I know for me in my journey, and sounds like this is the same for you, is you never forget like that first taste where you're like, wait, this is what this is, and like I can have that outcome, and I can have it as many times as I want, and all I have to do is go get it, and like the light bulb that went off. I know for me, the first time I ever got paid for like digital, like sales and like digital work, I was, I'd already done I'd gotten the deal kind of across line supposedly, and I'd sent the invoice, and then I was on my way. I was on a road trip when I got paid that first time, and I just went like, "This is amazing! It's real! This changes everything!"
Yeah, man, that's exactly how it felt, and that kind of set the trajectory where, I'll be honest, at that time, I didn't really think sales. I still was like, oh, this isn't for me. I still want to do personal training. I just did it to get money. And then, we went in September. I went in October. I came back just started December. And I was like, well, I need to make some money for Christmas. So I'll do a few more weeks of it. I'll just do a few more weeks. And long story short, I ended up sticking to it. Right. And working my way through the ranks, became a team leader, became a manager, and then eventually opened up my own door-to-door sales company. Right. And life was good. Like I was making incredible money. But the issue was it got to a point where I just felt so stuck, man. Like I was traveling 10 days, like a third of every month I was traveling. I'd be working 10, 12-hour days in the rain, in the heat. It didn't matter. Like I just realized I was missing so many of the important moments that I didn't want to. And it was getting to the point where I was just like, yeah, I have money. Like, that's okay. There's income coming in. I can look after my family, but I can't actually be present. And that was hitting me, man.
Yeah. What were the things that were going on at that time where it just like, where you're like, I wish I could be present for that, but I have to be over here?
The first one was like when we got our dog. right? Like we got a puppy, um, and after we got the puppy, I had to head away immediately for 2 weeks,
Mm.
and I was like, "This kind of sucks," because I want to be present. I want to be there to help, train my puppy, connect with it, um, and I couldn't. And then there would be events that my wife, we'd get invited to as a couple,
Hmm.
um, and I couldn't go because I was working. Right? I really love the gym. I'm huge into my fitness, and I had my fitness was becoming a second priority. I was starting to get a little fluffy, man. Like my health, even though I'd still gym, I'd be in the gym and all I'd be thinking about is work.
Yeah.
And I'd leave my sessions early, or I'd be on my phone because I'm trying to deal with the problems already at work, even before I'm there. And like it didn't matter, even if I was present, I wasn't actually present. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was so distant from my life because I was so focused and consumed by what I was doing, and I didn't like that.
Hmm.
And it got to the point, man, where, like, I'd go to, like, turf, we call it, the doors that I wanted to go and knock for the day, and I just couldn't get out of the and it was really weird because it's not that I was afraid of selling, like, I've sold heaps, I was confident in what I did. But it was like this scary thing of realizing this is all my life is ever gonna be.
Mm.
And I just sit there staring at my steering wheel, and an hour would pass, 2 hours would pass, 3 hour and I wouldn't get out of the car. And I was like, "There has to be more to life." Like, there shouldn't be this drag. Like, when I started, it didn't feel this terrible. This doesn't feel like a business should feel. This doesn't feel how life should feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What was the moment where you realized like something had to give? It's like you obviously in that space you're like in the middle of the soup of the problem, right? And you're like just in it and you're like this I don't want this to be all life ever is, just like stuck in this grind and like working like and being just totally having like income and money rule your life. What was the but then you got stuck and like so what was the moment where you realized like something like I have to change this, something's got to give?
Yeah, for me, it was me and my wife had just got married, right? And we were on our honeymoon. And we had said as soon as we get married, we wanted to start a family right away, right? And growing up, my family, my parents, they were awesome, but they also weren't very present because they were so busy with work. Uh, and I grew up and like I grew up with them not around nearly as much as I would have liked.
Mm.
And I could crystal clear see I was gonna do that to my kids. And I was on my honeymoon, man. I'm sitting on the beach, a literal fucking beach, and I'm just stressing. I can't stop and enjoy the moment because 'cause I'm worried about work and what I'm gonna have to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, There has to be another way." They're just like, "This can't be the be all end all." Just like I knew there was a better way than working hourly, I knew there had to be a better way than being stuck somewhere that I hated. I just
Mm-hmm.
I knew there had to be more, but I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what to do. I just had this burning sensation that I needed some change.
Yeah, and that's a rough situation to be in when you're like I can't like because you already hit the point like I can't stay this way, but I have no idea what's next. Like what was it like for your wife like in that situation? Like what was that dynamic like?
Well, it was kind of hard to be honest, because we always talked about she was going to be a stay-at-home wife. When we started having kids, she would be at home with the family, and she was going to be the breadwinner. And it's pretty scary when we had 2 houses at the time, we had mortgages, high expenses, and it was, like, really frightening for her to look at me and not see that I was not just not confident, but, like, super directionless. Like, she could see that I was stuck and that I didn't have a clear path out, and that was starting to worry her because, like, man, like, expenses out of our absolute ass. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to not make money, and yet we were in a situation where I didn't wanna do the thing that had provided for us.
Yeah.
And
That's a
not
that
even didn't want to, but, like, it was killing me to do it.
yeah. And that's an awful tension to be in. And I think, especially for a lot of the guys listening to this, like I think a lot of people have been there where it's like, well, this is the thing, but I hate the thing and I have no passion for the thing. I don't want to be doing the thing anymore. And like I know for me, there was a couple times in my story, like especially even along the sales journey, like I was doing like I was doing marketing sales for a local radio station, digital marketing agency, like business where I lived, and I know for me, like there were times where I opened my eyes and like the alarm goes off. It's just like this the so typical thing. Like the alarm goes off, you wake up, you look at the ceiling, and the first thing is just like, ugh. It's soul sucking to go do it. And I know for me, that was one of the things when I started noticing that happened like more than one time. Like yeah, everybody has a day you wake up and
We all
you're
have
like,
off
I don't want
days.
to go to work today. Well, okay, of course everybody has that, but like when it's like every day and you're like, man, how much I don't feel like I can do this. I don't feel like I have it in me, and like, but then to make the switch is sometimes tough because it's like, well, what do I do, or what would I do, or what would even work? And like everybody everybody has that like that point where they're just saying like this isn't it. um was there was there a moment there on that on your honeymoon where you're like that, like this is the that's it, I'm done, I'm gonna go do something, I'm gonna try something, figure something out?
Yeah, man. There definitely was. You know, we had booked this really, really beautiful, day resort, right, to go to, and, like, you have your, like, private cabana, it's, like, gorgeous, right on the beach, um, there's no one else around, like, absolutely serenity. And my brain was going a million miles an hour, and I couldn't enjoy it. Like, I was literally sitting down, had sunset in front of me, there's, like, a fire on the beach to roast marshmallows, cabana, all the food, all the drinks I could ever want, and I was sitting there angry because I realized that, like, I get to do this maybe once a year, and every day where I'm not here, I absolutely hate just so I can escape again. And I didn't wanna have a life that I had to escape, you know? And it was just a realization that, like, surely there has to be a better way. Surely there has to be a life that I can build where I wake up in the morning and I'm excited, you know? I don't wake up and be like, "Huh, gotta go do that again,"
Mm-hmm.
you know? Where, like, I'd pull up to the office, me standing there with my hands on the steering wheel, just staring at the steering wheel
Mm-hmm.
until my first person would walk in. I'm like, "Alright."
Yeah.
You know? And it was just like, in that moment, I committed that I was gonna make some change. I But the issue was I had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to do. So then I went on, like, this crazy, "Okay, we've now decided we need to make change, but we can't make a change until we actually have something that we're gonna do," right?
Yeah. Yeah, it becomes from like, okay, it changes from why to what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what? So when you come back, so you have this moment, you're like, this is, what, screw this. Something has to give. I have to try something. What I love about that is like you were dedicated to the outcome of like, look, I have to change this. whatever it is, I will work as hard as I have to go do the thing, but I will get the thing done, and I will not leave it like this because I know for me when I've had I'd say 2 or 3 moments like that at, at different stages, and it was like I'm not gonna subject my wife to me being this lower level of myself.
100%.
And so for you, when you got back from that, like what was, you kind of enter the unknown of like, okay, we're trying stuff. Like, what did you do? What did you try?
Yeah, so I had this take where for me freedom is like a huge thing, right? Like the flexibility to be able to travel, the flexibility to be able to be present. As I said, we wanted to have kids, right? And I wanted to be a very present dad. So I knew I had to do something online, right? I knew I didn't want to do a traditional business because that was going to still have me out of the house, still working crazy. So I was like, cool, I need to do something online. Bro, I tried, I started with trading. I was like, cool, trading seems really cool. I can just sit in front of my computer and look at some charts and make a crap ton of money. I'm like, this is really easy. I'll just do that.
How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I lost like 10 grand. And spent thousands of dollars on a setup that I ended up never really using. And then I was like, okay, maybe trading isn't it. Maybe trading isn't it. Let's keep looking. And then I saw the rage on drop shipping,
Yeah,
right?
right. I
E-commerce.
remember that craze. That was huge.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
And me and my wife, we had a couple dogs, and we're like, oh, let's drop ship some pet items. We'll do like pet bowls and scarves, and I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, but we started. I built the entire store.
Yeah.
Just went into it, tried to do everything myself. And then it was like the logistics of like trying to get somewhere to actually get the products that were good products that weren't shit. Trying to build a website where I'm not that tech inclined. Trying to make ads work. Oh my goodness. Doing my head in. And we built everything up. I dedicated like 2.5 weeks of just like all my spare time, right? Of like doing this. I was like, all right, this is the thing. It's ready to launch. And then nothing happened. And I was like, I'm putting money into ads. Like, I'm spending some money. Like, why aren't I making a sale? And then I made one sale.
Nice.
And I realized I priced the items wrong and I lost $10.
Oh, no.
And in that moment, man, I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me. Like, drop shipping, like maybe it works for other people, but like, this is not me,
That's funny. If that isn't the most stereotypical drop shipping story, I don't know what is. That's amazing. So what else did you do? Like what next? What was the next thing you tried?
Yeah, from there, it was a bit of like affiliate marketing, right? Like I had a few buddies in affiliate marketing. They're like, "Oh, this is really cool. You got to do it." And now looking back, they just wanted to sell me their thing. But I was like, "Yeah."
Affiliate marketers was selling an affiliate program? No way.
So I was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And I started to get into it, and I just like, I felt really weird. I didn't even like fully do it. Like I started to talk to them, and then they started to like tell me how it was going to work. And remember, I came from sales, right? But like, I didn't sell my family and friends. I sold other people, and like, they wanted me to talk to my family, talk to friends. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this. This isn't something I want to. And it just felt really like it felt gross. And like, don't get me wrong, I think there's some incredible affiliate marketers out there, but like, it just was not the thing for me. So I was like, nope, okay, affiliate marketing isn't it. I was like, what about copywriting? I saw copywriting pop up. Cool. And then I realized I'm real dyslexic and I don't know how to write for the life of me.
Can confirm.
Yeah, you've seen it firsthand, bro. It's terrible. Yeah, You're like, what are you trying to say, Liam? I'm like, oh.
I was like, quit sending me voice notes. And then he sent me text, and I'm like, never mind, send me voice notes.
Yeah. So that was really short lived because I realized I couldn't text. I couldn't write. Right. I couldn't write copy for the life of me. And then I saw this thing, remote sales, and to be honest, because I had tried everything else, I was like, bro, this is just another gimmick. This is just another bullshit thing. In my mind, I was like, well, all these things have just been scams because they haven't worked, right? And now I don't believe that to be true. But in that frame, this is where I was feeling, right?
Yeah.
I was like, it just these are all scammy things. Like none of this actually, none of this is going to work. None of this is going to change it. And I saw remote sales, and they told me I could make money just sitting on Zoom talking to people. And I was like, that's too good to be true. That seems too easy. Like you don't get paid just for talking to people online, and they wanted to have the conversation because I had never had that, right? Like door to door is like I went and approached people, and that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? People are gonna like they want to talk to me. They inquire in. All I have to do is have a conversation. Nah, that can't be real. And as Meta does, Instagram just started to target me with more and more of the ads, more and more of the ads. And I was like, well, man, I've tried everything else. I may as well at least have a conversation with these people. I may as well at least see it. And I talked to a couple different companies, jumped in and started to look at one of them. And one of these was the program that I ended up getting. And I got onto the call with the guy, and I was like, man, I just want to be able to have freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't want to do what I'm doing right now, but I have no idea if this is the right path. And it was interesting because, I had invested into some, the different things before that, but I never paid for a coach. I had never paid for like a mentorship or a program before. At least not to someone that I didn't know, like you pay a
Yeah.
friend to like teach you something, but like something online, never really known these people, had done a little bit of research, but not really, like how much can you do when you don't understand it? And it was on the call, and I was like, trying to ask all these questions, trying to be like, oh, like, how does this work? And he's like, Liam, reality is the way that it works doesn't matter. And I was like, well, yeah, it does. He's like, no. Let me ask you this. Do you care if you end up being in a position where you have the flexibility that you've been asking for, where you can spend time with your wife and your soon-to-be daughter? Like, do you actually care what it looks like in order to get there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, not really. He's like, and can you talk to people? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's all you need to know how to do. You don't need a full business. It just comes down to one skill. And that was remote closing. And I was like, well, this seems interesting. I was on a road trip at this time too. So I was like away from home. I was like in the thick of it. I was like, man, that'd be really nice to not have to be out here anymore.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, did his sales process thing, talked to me for a few minutes. He's like, man, to get started, it's gonna be $10,000. I was like, $10,000? No way. See you later. He's like, whoa, just one sec. What's going on? I was like, well, why would I do that? He said, well, do you know how to do this by yourself? Sat there. I was like, yeah, I can figure it out. He's like, well, yeah, you could probably figure it out. But if it takes you the next 12 months to figure this out on your own, Liam, or you can have a path where we're going to show you how to do it in the next 60 to 90 days, which one would you rather have? And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of fair. I'd rather have the 60 to 90 days because that sounds much quicker.
Yeah.
And ended up sorting out some form of like a payment plan because I didn't have all that cash on hand at the time. And I remember just like holding up my card and again, like I'd worked in sales before, right? Like I had talked to people, but like this was huge. I've never asked someone for that amount of money. Like
Hmm.
never. And I'm standing there like shaking, holding my card. And I just find myself reading off my card details. And before I got on the call, I was like, I am not buying. I am not buying anything.
Yeah.
And I found myself just reading off the card details. How do you feel? I'm like, I feel good. I'm nervous, but like I feel good. He's like, those nerves are exactly what you should be feeling. That means you care.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And afterwards, I realized that all we did was have a conversation, and obviously there was bits and pieces to it in there. He did some really cool stuff I later learned to realize
Yeah, after the fact.
after the fact. But during it, I was like, well, I can have a conversation. Like, I can talk to people. And that was kind of the start. That's how I ended up buying my first program and entering the remote sales space.
Yeah. And I don't know if it is like this for you, but I know for me, it was like when somebody cared enough to help me with where I was and just like the stuff I was stuck in, to actually sit down and be like, look, what are you good at? Like, well, and like, cause I was in a sales job at the time and I was doing pretty well. I was the second highest performer on the team I was on. And I was doing like, and in the space I was in, doing $500,000 a year was like a pretty big deal. And so that's kind of roughly where I was at. Next to second performer only to the person who'd been there for like 25 years and had this just like legendary book of business, which I'm like, okay, well, that's fair. I've been doing this 1 year. But I found for me when I started my journey into remote sales, the thing that blew me away was that somebody was willing to just sit down and talk to me, just like a human being, and just be like, what are you looking to achieve? What are you good at? Like, can we help you actually see that happen for real? Because I know for me, like when I had this first experience, like I to same thing. I didn't even realize I was being sold. I did not realize I was talking to somebody who was in sales. I did not know. I thought I was talking to a guy who, like, anyway, whatever. But like I didn't realize I was in a sales process, and I was like, going through the open wallet and being like, this is what I got to work with. He's like, okay, well, if we can probably do this and this, and then, but if we're gonna do this, like if you want to make this happen for real, like you got to put in the work. We're gonna help you, but we need you in the trenches with us every step of the way, or you're not gonna get there, right? Because nobody's gonna come save you. It has to be you that decides that you want this for you. And like for me, I was like, yes, I will do it. I hate what I'm doing right now. I want in. I will do this, whatever it takes. And so for me, when I did that, at that point, the thing that helped me win was like I didn't know what I was doing, so I just was like, okay, I'm here to learn. Give me all the information you can possibly give me. I'm going to learn it all. I'm going to practice it. I'm going to drill it. I'm going to study it, and then you do some mock calls, you some practicing. You like sharpen up the skills. And I know for me, like I was making money inside of 30 days, like from that when I started. I know for you, like what was it like? So you decided, you committed, you decided to make the jump. Like I'm going to make this happen, and somebody believes in me enough to give me an opportunity to go make it happen. So what was that first bit like for you? Because like I'm sure you mentioned there was like some nerves and some fear, but like. And there's of course there's always the questions like, well, change is risky. Like, what if I fail? What is this legit? I can't. And then you just get to the simple stuff of like, do you want to change? Are you willing to put in the work for the change? And if those
Exactly.
answers are yes, then you got to try. Like you owe it to yourself. And so for you, what was that like jumping in and like learning? Like talk to us about that kind of first, the first month or so of like of what you needed to learn.
Mm. So I had come in, right? And it's that first month. And I was like, look, I just invested money. I need to absolutely go. Like I'm like a 0 or 100 person in everything that I do in life. So as soon as I finally decided, it's like, okay, cool. Those fears, the nerves, all of that was there, but I had made a commitment and I had paid money and I didn't want to waste money.
Yeah,
So
amen to that.
I jumped into the program and I just started consuming it like crazy. And remember, I was still working 10, 12-hour days doing door to door, running not just myself, but a team of people. And like that's demanding. But like I'd get up early in the morning, probably like 4 or 5 a.m., and I'd start doing some training. And then after work, I'd be training while I'm cooking dinner, just listening in
Yeah.
on the videos.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember in the program, like, they had this sequence where they gave you opportunities once you had done X amount and you got certified, and it was like a 3 months to get there. And I was like, that's too long. Nah, I am not taking 3 months to get there. This doesn't have to be the way. And I went back and looked, I had gone through 19% of the program, which is quite funny, right? And I reached out to my coach and I was like, hey, mate, I want a job. Like, I want a job. He's like, hey, like, you can't have one yet. You gotta be able to do this. I was like, no, like, tell me. I know you can't give me one right now because you want me to be certified, but like, how can I go? He's like, just start reaching out. And he gave me the outreach protocol.
Yep.
And I went hard on it, man. I went hard. I was doing like 50, 100 outreaches a day just to people, sending out messages, anyone and everyone that I could ever think, whether it be Facebook, jumping on X, Instagram. I was just messaging everyone, be like, hey, do you know someone that knows someone that needs someone?
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
um, and through a series of funny events, connecting with one person who led me to someone else, who led me to someone else, I ended up getting my first role 2 weeks after starting the program. And I was like, okay, I know that I have like a month of expenses saved up where if I make $0, I'll still be okay. I won't have a safety net anymore, but I'll still be okay. And I can just go back to what I was doing before
Yeah.
if this fails.
Yeah.
But I need to try. So I dedicated. I sent my guys on a road trip so I didn't have to deal with them. I sent them away.
Get out of my hair for a week.
Yeah, I locked myself in my bedroom. Didn't even have like had a laptop sitting on. I think I had it sitting on a like those foldable camping tables,
Yeah. Yes. TV
right?
trays.
Yes, and I had it. My laptop sitting there, foldable camping trailer, and one of my dinner table seats is what I was sitting on. And I was like, all right, let's do this.
I love it.
And I worked my absolute ass off. But that very first month, I made $26,500. And it was like, whoa. That same feeling how you said before when the money hit your account for doing something online,
Yeah.
I was like, I made this sitting in my bedroom and I am not skilled enough yet.
Yeah.
This is nuts. What do you mean I get to what? I was like, oh no. So I shut down my company. Literally, I got paid my first month's commission and I was like, I need a jump. I'm all in. I'm all in, baby. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know how it was supposed to feel, but I knew that if I would work my ass off, it would be very hard to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that if I just showed up for myself every single day and I kept getting training, I kept developing on my skill set, there was no way that I was going to fail. And if I did, I could go back to the thing I was doing before, like it never even happened.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always go back to whatever there is before. Like it's like I think people treat entrepreneurship like it's like, well, if this fails, you're gonna die. I mean, like, nah, you can always just go back to the standard you had before that you hated. But like, I know for me, it's so funny that you mentioned that. Mine is really really similar. Like when I first, I told the guy who was bringing me into the program. He said, I told him, I said, okay, his name was Chris. I said, Chris, but like, talk to me straight here. Like, I will work. I will pour everything I have into this. But like, if I'm not making money in 60 days, I am actually going to be homeless. Like, my wife and I will not have a roof over our heads in 60 days if I'm not making money by then. And he's like, bro, I'm with you all the way as long as you show up and do it. And I know you will, but you better not let me down. And it was the same thing. It was just like, go for it, go hard, go in. And because the people who commit win, right? It's like the people who commit in this, they win pretty much every time. And like you said, even if you lost, you could just go back to the way things were. And everybody be like, well, at least you tried, right? But like, I know for me, I couldn't live with myself knowing I hate where I'm at, and I know I could be doing that. I couldn't live with myself like not giving myself the opportunity to try, because failing would be better than not trying.
Well, man, I was at a point, right, where I would show up to work and I hated my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was to the point where I would sit in my car for hours delaying actually starting. You
Mm-hmm.
know? I was just I realized that the life I had was not the life I wanted to live. And the alternative of me going, right, and trying something new, the alternative was staying where I was, and that scared the shit out of me. Because I had mentors of mine that had been doing it 10, 15, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I also saw the peak of where they were at 15, 20 years later. And I was like, I don't want to wait 15, 20 years to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I did, I still don't like what I see.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's the worst that happens? I go into it, I got a break, I got to try something new, and then I go back to it. But what's the best case? It changes my life forever. And it was one of those moments, man, where I was just like, you got to, you have to. You just have to. Like, the alternative, you ever heard that saying, of how this goes? Most people actually die very young.
Mm. Yeah.
They're just not buried until they're 80.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. And what I mean by that is like, yeah, you're still alive. You're not enjoying life. You're not doing the things you want to do. You're dreading every single day. You're dreading going into the office. You're dreading seeing the same people, being in the same shitty environments, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't actually do anything your entire life. And that scared the absolute shit out of me. That I had to make a move. I had to. And I'm so happy I did.
Well, because what I found, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on this, is what I found is like once I started stacking some of those wins,
Mm.
it started to change. It started to change me internally, and like not in a like a now I'm a salesman kind of way, but it was like I started to view myself differently, and there started to be a new identity that came out of me that was like I am somebody who bets on myself because I know I can do it. And I know if I don't know how to do it right now, I know I will figure it out. I am becoming the person who goes and gets it. I loved it. Like, dude, what did you feel like once you started getting into some wins? Like, what was that journey like for you as far as like who you became along the way?
Yeah, I feel like I went from someone who was, I thought I was confident. um, and then I started doing it, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not confident. Like, this is scary."
I completely misunderstood what confidence actually is.
Yeah, I was like, "This is actually really scary." Um, but I started to notice myself, trust myself again.
Mm,
I think that was one of the biggest things that I saw early was like I was trusting my own intuition. I was trusting the decisions that I was making. Because remember, I had gone through so many failures, right? So many attempts of trying to break this over the last 4 or 5 months before I found high ticket that like every time felt like I was an absolute failure. Every time I thought I was the worst husband, the worst person alive. I was doing like I was terrible to my family because I kept failing. And for the first time, I started to feel trust in myself again. I started to feel like I was capable. I started to feel like this life that I was dreaming of, it was actually becoming a reality, not just financially, because of course that came, but like the person who I looked in the mirror and I started to see someone that I liked again.
Mhm.
I started losing a bit more weight because I wasn't so stressed out all the time. And it just started building into a version that I was like, man, like, yeah, I think the biggest thing is just trust, like, and confidence. That confidence started to come where it was like, when you do the little things that you say you're gonna do,
Mhm.
you build trust with yourself. And when you have trust with yourself, it builds confidence going into the next thing,
Yeah.
right? Because once you accomplish even the smallest little thing, if you celebrate it, if you acknowledge the celebration, it stacks into the next thing and it gives you that bit of momentum.
Mhm.
And then that stacks into the next bit of momentum and that stacks into the next bit. So yeah, and then the other side is like my wife and my family started to notice.
Mhm.
And that was cool. Like, man, when she was like, "Hey, you don't seem as stressed. Like, you seem happier." And she was at this point 6 months pregnant, right? And to like have her start to notice those things, it just made me feel good. It made me feel like I was on the right path, like I had made the right decision.
Yeah.
Because I was changing into the man that was now able to be present. Like, I didn't have to leave the house 12 hours a day. If she needed something midday, she just walked into my office and asked me.
Mhm.
You know, she needed me for 10 minutes, I just pop out. I go hang out with her for 10 minutes and then come back to work.
Mhm.
And I had never been able to do that before in our relationship. You know, I never felt like I actually got to spend a lot of time with her, even though, we spent before kids, you don't realize how much time you have. I'll tell you now as a dad, you have so much time you don't even realize. Um, but you take it for granted, right? And I never really felt like we had time together, but for the first time, I felt like the little moments I was starting to be present for, right? Like she would yell and be like, "Honey, honey, come out. She's kicking." And I got to feel like some of the first kicks of my baby being, developing. And that was just like, whoa, this is crazy. When baby was born, I got to take some time off without stressing about everything, knowing like, hey, I can just work 2-3 hours a day
Yeah.
because I can actually have something that does that. I can still make money, but I can hang out with my family and I can be present for my daughter who was just born.
Beautiful.
And I got to see like, bro, like I was there for her first steps. I was there for the first time she crawled. I was there for the first time she tried food. I was there for all these little moments that I knew if I didn't make a change, none of those, like I would have been seeing them on video if I was lucky.
Yeah.
I was just becoming the man that I knew I always wanted to be.
Mhm. That's beautiful. And like, the thing I was gonna ask next was like, what's a time where you thought like, "Hey, I'm so glad I didn't give up on myself." But it sounds like those are really the moments.
Yeah, man. It's I think the biggest moment of where I was glad I didn't give up and where I actually was so happy was it was a week after baby was born and my wife got an infection, right? And she had to be rushed back to the hospital. And she was like not doing well. They missed an infection that should have been caught at birth. It wasn't. And she was hospitalized for a week, right?
Oh,
Yeah, like 5 days in the hospital
like
with a
right
brand.
right after your daughter was born.
Yeah, so like a week later, right? Because she was progressively getting worse. We're first-time parents. We don't know she was like getting sick. We're just like, oh, this is how it must be after you give birth. It just
Yeah.
life sucks.
Seems like something that might wear you down a little
Yeah, exactly.
bit.
and and we're in the hospital, and like she's laying on the bed, and I'm holding my daughter. And in that moment, man, knowing that there's a high chance I could have been in a different city and I wouldn't be able to be there, or I had to catch a flight, or I had to go do stuff, and I wouldn't have been there to help her in the scariest moment. For me, I was like, I'm so happy I actually did it. Because I got to be there for my family when they needed me the most. You know, when my wife could barely move on the bed because she was so sick, and my daughter's laying there crying, I'm able to go pick her up, and knowing that she would have had to go through that basically alone if I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't. Well, it turns out you can buy that. I was going to say you can't buy that, but it turns out you can. Like you buy it with your time and your skill development, right? But you buy it in the sense where like you become the person who has the skill, who can do that, and who can be flexible, who can like be the leader that they want to be for their family, and like be the person who can be the actual, not just the financial security for the family, but the actual security for her, for your actual family. And like you can, yeah, because like becoming that person, and the thing that I love in like having a lot of just like having had a lot of sales conversations myself, like the thing I love about it is like it's like you're gonna everybody's got a price to pay, and it's like do you want to pay do you want to pay the cost of not becoming the person who does what they need to do, and who you want to pay what's the cost of not becoming the person who is the effective leader, who believes in himself, who leads with courage and love, and like actually goes out and gets the stuff done? What's the cost of not becoming that person, and like not taking that step to believe in yourself and like go actually do something for real? And so it you it doesn't come for free, but nothing ever does. Like I think what oftentimes what people don't consider is like they don't consider what it's going to be like to not become that, because they think everybody's got rose-colored glasses, like, oh, I'm sure I'll figure out a way, but you might not, because if you look around, everybody knows people that don't ever grow. They don't ever take the opportunity to like step into the better version of themselves and actually go try and do, because if you keep trying and doing, you eventually learn. And like even the stupidest people, if they are committed, they get smart, right? Like they like you everybody can grow. It's just like if you will believe in yourself enough to go do what needs to be done to get the result, and then when you do that, you find yourself becoming a different person along the way, and then you become the person who has the finances to take care of the family. But not only that, but like you are actually there for them when they need it, and you are the present person who is the leader and is the takes care of the people they love. Like that that's a totally different place to live in versus the person who's just like stuck, well, I can't do it because of some external reason, some external thing. Well, I couldn't leave my job because I'm apparently a slave to my job, or like, that victim mentality of like, boo hoo, I can't do it. Be like, no, anybody can if they will just commit to doing what they need to do to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, man, it just like, going on the back of that into more of the things, like for me, I don't like the cold. I inherently hate cold weather. I'm not a fan. Which is funny because I'm Canadian, grew up in the coldest place could exist.
Yeah.
No.
Get me right in the feels.
Yeah. Just like, no, I really don't enjoy it. And the following year, once baby was a little bit older, I think baby was 8 months old. It was coming up to wintertime in New Zealand. And I was like, honey, let's get out of here. Like, what? We don't need to spend winter here anymore. We don't have to. And we went to Bali for 7 weeks. We just picked up, jumped over to Bali, and I could do the same work I was doing from Bali. But I got to be in an environment that I was loving. I'd go to the gym every day, hired a nanny because they're like dirt cheap. So we could both go to the gym together, which is something we love to do. Um, and then we came home after the 7 weeks of awesomeness, and we're like, nah, I still kind of want to be there. So we rebooked our flights for a month later to go back for another 6 weeks.
I love it. That is freedom.
Yeah. It was such a level of freedom to know, like, I'm only doing something because I want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you want has a purpose now. Right? Like it's not even just like, oh, I'm so pampered, I'm making a bunch of money, so I don't have to be mildly inconvenienced in any way. It's like, no, like this is like, yeah, we don't like the cold weather, so we're gonna go here, but like whenever you go anywhere, you're still on purpose. You're still like building the business. You still have the freedom and flexibility to like be who you are, just with the freedom to like do it in its most full expression, which is amazing.
Bro, holiday hits different when you come back from a trip and you come back with more money than you left with.
Ooh, that ain't the truth. I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings alive, and knowing you just had the fantastic time.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to sacrifice putting your family ahead financially to enjoy the moments.
Mm-hmm.
You can have.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So if you compare an average day in your old life, like before remote sales, to like an average day now, how do you think your old self, if your old self could come be in your shoes for a day, like what do you think that would look like?
They'd probably laugh and be like, "You call this work, man? Like, how is this work? Like, you get up in the morning, you make yourself a cup of coffee, you walk over to a desk, you sit down, you take a couple sales calls, then you go get a second coffee, you say hi to the missus and the baby, you go back, you do a few more calls, you spend like another couple hours at the computer, I go get another coffee because I'm addicted to coffee. And then I'm done at 4:00. And I go and hang out with my daughter and put her to sleep. I think he'd first think like this isn't real, but then the second thing, he'd be incredibly jealous that during the daytime he didn't have to only see his daughter for an hour.
Yeah.
He'd be like, you got to see her throughout the day, you got to see her in the morning, you got to take her to her care, and you got to put her to bed. It's the life I dreamed of. I always wanted to be that dad. I always said I wanted to be someone that's present. I want to be there for my friends, the people I love. I wanted to be that man, the man that's not just like, yeah, providing financially, that's one thing. But it's like the reliable one, the one that like they can count on when they're having a hard day.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be super envious that he wasn't that.
Yeah, and I think that's poignant too, because it's like the identity is the core thing. It's not like, oh, I couldn't do that. It's like, well, this is freaking easy compared to what I'm doing now. It's like the person that you are in the middle of that. Like you had to become a different person to get there. And like and that's not even the part like, oh, I had to renounce everything about my personality. No, it's just like you had to level up. And so this has been phenomenal. I got 3 questions for you if we got just a couple more minutes to hang on.
100%. Let's go through it.
So, for people who are looking at getting into remote sales, like what's the one or maybe like the biggest misconception about remote closing that you wish people could unlearn and just like totally wash out of their brain?
Yeah, that it's like a scam or it's affiliate marketing, and I kind of thought both of those things too. And then the other side is that you have to be super like amazing at sales. I think those are, I know it's not 1, it's 3, but like for first, because like affiliate, like some people are like, oh, is this like affiliate? It's like, bro, this is nothing. It doesn't even come close. I've never talked to someone that I've known when I'm selling on someone else's thing. Like I've never talked to anyone that I've ever known, which is really nice because I don't know, it feels weird selling to your friends, right? I never wanted to do it anyway. So it's not affiliate marketing. It's not a scam. Like, you're helping people. Like, at the end of the conversation, most people don't be like, oh man, he got me. No, it's thank you so much for helping me.
Yeah. That never gets old.
Yeah, you make such an impact and you get to feel so good. Like, you'd think it's the opposite. You'd think, like, they just paid you 10 grand or whatever it was, that they would be like kind of sad. But like, they're so excited to make a change in their life.
Yeah. And
And
that
they're
you
usually,
believe in them enough to give them the opportunity to even do it. And that it's like it's worth it for them.
yes. And they're just pumped. And like, you come off the call like that and you're just like, you feel so good.
Mm-hmm.
And the last is that you have to be an expert. Like, you have to be really great at sales. Bro, I know some guys in the space that are not very good. And they make a ridiculous amount of money. I'm talking like 10, 50, even $20,000 a month. And they're not that good. And I think when people like think maybe of like opportunities like remote sales, they think they have to be this awesome guy that knows everything, that's a master at it. But it's like, no, you just need to be in the right vehicle. You need to be in the right environment. And you need to have the right people supporting you so you can get there. So that's my answer for number one.
Right. So, second one, what's one thing you wish you could? So let's say, okay, I've decided I'm making the jump into remote closing. I'm doing it. What's one thing, like one truth or one principle that you wish you could just like tattoo on every beginner's?
Reps, 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 and more reps. I think Alex Hormozi says this best when he talks about the ignorance debt. When you're getting into something new, you have an ignorance debt. And what I mean by that is, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month online with the freedoms. Every month you don't make $10,000 a month is costing you 10 grand. And the way that you get there is you pay down your ignorance debt. Now, you pay down your ignorance debt by doing the things repeatedly and slowly getting better and better at them, chipping down until you understand and you become the version who actually does it. Because what I see a lot of new people do is, and I coach so many people, is they come in and, or I'll talk to someone brand new, maybe they just entered the space, and they'll be like, yeah, I did 5 role plays. Like, I feel like I've done so much. I'm not getting better. I'm like, bro, you should have done that yesterday. What do you mean in the last 2 months you've done 5 role plays? No. So reps. The more reps you do, the better you're going to get. It compounds so quickly. And like, transparently, if someone came to me and they're like, Liam, like, you're in this situation. If you're watching this and you're in this situation, you have $0 to your name, you're homeless on the street, and like, you cannot hire a coach. If you just practice every single day, you'll become good enough to make money online. Now, of course, there's quicker ways. Of course, there's ways to make that speed up. But that's the thing that most people miss, is you have to do the reps. You have to get in the practice. The same way, like, bro, I love basketball. Growing up, I was a big basketball guy. If you want to get good at shooting a three-pointer, you stand there and you shoot three-pointers all day, right? You don't look at videotape. You don't watch other people do three-pointers. You don't think about doing three-pointers. You don't imagine. You just take the damn shot. And you do it repeatedly, and you make micro adjustments each time. So that's the biggest thing. People just need to do reps.
Yeah, 100%. Could not agree more. The people I've seen who do the reps, they come out so sharp and ready to go, and then because they prove to themselves that they're dedicated before they ever set up on an offer, and then shocker, they're pretty confident when they get an offer because they know what they're doing. Again, shocker, they become the person, just like you said. Okay, I got one more good one for you. I think this will be super valuable to everybody who's listening. You ready for it?
Give it to me, buddy.
Okay, what is the top pattern or top patterns? I'll give you the leeway to be plural. What patterns do you see between people who win and like win fast and consistently versus people who stay stuck?
The first one that comes to mind is that they take action before they feel ready. See, most people they talk themselves into this fake sense that they need to be ready before they move, right? They need to be ready before they jump in. They need to be ready before they have a conversation. But the truth is, doesn't matter how much preparation you do, you're never actually going to be ready for the thing. Where if you were to go in, when I did door to door, we had a saying, it was called Fun Week. Your whole first week was fun, and it was fuck up now. Like, the more you could mess up, the quicker you can make those mistakes by doing the actual thing, the better you were going to get. Because you didn't ever be perfect beforehand. You were never ready to get started. You just had to start, and it taught you so much more. So that's the first pattern. Like, people that stay stuck are usually people that are never jumping in, and they think they have to be ready first. Another one, though, and I think this is big as well, is to get really good at sales, it's not seeing 100 problems at once and trying to fix 100 things. And like, this can really ruin some people. Is they look in their situation, they're stuck, right? And they try to fix 100 different things at once. To be a master at sales, you have to see 100 problems and you have to choose one at a time to get good at. And if you can choose one thing at a time and repeatedly, consistently go through your list, you're going to look back in 30 days and you're smashed 30 different things. Compared to if you try to do all 100, you look in a month time and you haven't changed anything and you're just stressed out.
Yeah, no progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those would be the two patterns.
Yeah. Okay. Anything I didn't ask you that you wish I'd asked you today?
I guess for me, you know, in my journey, like I said, like, I had a cool title. I had on paper what looked really good, right? To other people, they'd be like, "Oh wow, like you're successful," right? And even though that was true on paper, I felt like a failure in my life. So what I'd say is, just to any of the guys that are watching this, that, like, you know, maybe they're told by their colleagues, their family, friends at Christmas time
Yeah.
coming up, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you know, that's so cool you do that," and, like, you're feeling deep down like, you know that's not the case.
Yeah. It's not that cool. Yeah.
Don't let your pride overcome you to think, "Oh, I'm starting back at 0."
Yeah. That's so huge. The biggest thing that the worst thing you can do is let your ego, because that's when all of our egos want to pipe up and they're like, oh no, he couldn't bear to, you know, he'd be starting over, he'd be letting go of, like, think of the 401k, which is not really that good anyway, and like we don't
Yep.
realize how trapped we are when when you're trapped. You don't realize how trapped you are until you get a bit of a taste of freedom, and then you're like, oh wow. But like, if we let our egos get in the way, we let our pride say like, oh well, I couldn't start over. Like, yeah, like, it's not starting over from zero. But even if it was, it would still totally be worth it to be on the other side, to be the person who, like, bets on themselves, who does what they say they're gonna do, who, like, learns the skills they need to level up, and then becomes the kind of person who's free, like, who provides for their family, but is also, like, not just financially, right? Like, provides for them with their presence and like their own identity that they become as they become a person who levels up.
Well, I think the best analogy to wrap this up is, say, for instance, like, as men, I don't know about you, Kendi, but as men, we tend to be like, I could beat that guy up. You know, I'm pretty tough, right? I could do it, right? And we usually over exaggerate of what we could do physically. Tends to be men. Now, it's like if that man were to go and do jujitsu, for instance. I love jujitsu. They have to be willing in that moment to realize that, hey, you're not actually as good as you think you are. but it doesn't mean you're letting go of everything. It doesn't mean you're not still that person, but it's humbling yourself to learn a skill so you can become the person you say you are.
Yeah, you might not be as good as you think you are, but in fairly short order, if you do apply yourself, you could be much better than you are, and you could probably be better than you think you could be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. I've had a bunch of fun. Hopefully you have too. It's not too often we get to go and get the all the dirt on the OG origin story of of our
This has
folks.
been fun. This has
Hope
been
it's been
fun.
fun. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed listening. I hope it's been educational. I hope it's been encouraging. To me, the thing I love, one of the reasons, not that me add my extra 10 cents here or 12 cents or 13 cents, depending on how far I go here, but um, when I like to read biographies of people who've done big things because when I see where they started and I see some of the doubts and I see some of the struggles that they go through, it helps me go, well, heck, I've had a lot of those thoughts. Like, I feel that way. I feel that way often. And then it gives me hope to be like, ah, yes, other people have conquered this mountain. And I know if I can get the right help, if I can get the right access to I need to learn some things I don't know. I need to become some things I might not be yet, but I can do it. And like, that's a beautiful thing. So hopefully people listening to this have, so like, well, back to that, I could beat up that guy. If Liam can do it, surely so can I. Fun fact, if you ever meet Liam in person, don't try to beat him up. It will not go well for you. but hope you found it encouraging. Hope it's been informative as far as like what the journey into remote sales actually looks like, why it's worth it, and like why basically none of us ever go back. So, and any parting words or parting thoughts you want to hit before we jump?
Nah, guys, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or you're thinking that this might be interesting, just shoot me a message on Instagram, the Liam Shaw. Happy to have a chat. Like, I was there. I was stuck. And all I needed was a bit of direction so I could actually unveil what I knew I was truly capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're feeling you're in that spot, just shoot me a message, man. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, talk to Liam and his team. Closing Authority, they're fantastic. And so if this is a road you want to go down, highly recommend it. We will thank you guys for listening, and we'll see. Well, maybe we'll see you around Liam someday, but we'll see you on the next episode. We'll talk to you guys real soon.
Bye.
Bye.